Hi everyone, I'm excited for today's adventure. Got a new rod to try out. This is the Goture Capella rod. It's inside this case. So Goture sent me this for free to fish with. I don't really know anything about this rod, but there's actually a full Tenkara kit in here. I think this might be the cheapest full Tenkara kit that you can buy on Amazon. I'll put a link to this below if you want to check it out on Amazon. But let's open it up and see what's inside. So it comes in this hard case. And by the way, I've fished with a Goture rod before. You might remember the video where I fished with this guy, this weird rod. And it was surprisingly not terrible. It wasn't especially good, but it wasn't as bad as other $20 or $30 rods. This thing was like $20 or $30. But yeah, let's open this up. I also have some Goture gloves, some fishing gloves. And both those gloves and that green rod I bought with my own money. Those were not given to me. So first off, we have a little foam line spool, line holder. Put that in my pocket so it doesn't get blown away. Got a Tenkara fishing guide. Let's see here. Tenkara gear, Tenkara rod usage, replacing sections, knots, lines, other things, other tools. Okay. And we have a furled leader. This is a, let's see, it says 12-foot yellow and black 7-centimeter loop. I don't fish with furled lines, mostly because they're annoying to free from trees when they get stuck in trees. And I've only used cheap ones that aren't especially good. I've never used like a fancy one. This one also is probably pretty cheap and probably not that great, but we'll fish it anyway. The rod itself. And here we have the rod. Oh, there's a, I feel something else in this case here. I think there's a spare tip section. Yeah, spare tip section. So this is a 12-foot rod, a 360-centimeter rod. The action is 7.3, as it says right there. Kind of a green, shiny, shimmery green. Interesting handle. It's flat, like it's basically uniform in diameter. Then it flares out a little bit on this end, and it flares out a little bit on this end. Guess we'll see how that works out in practice. I will weigh this rod back at home and put the exact weight on the screen. I'll also measure it. I will put the length of it collapsed like this on the screen, and then also the exact length when it's fully extended. I'll put all that information on the screen. Diving deeper into the tube here. Let's see, we have these little line holders, these easy keepers. These never seem to work especially well, but I guess we'll try them out. Got some tippet, 50 meters of 5X tippet. And then in here, we have a little zinger, with a clip on it, and a little nipper. Presumably we can connect the two together. Yep, there we go. Is there anything else? Yes, there is. It's a little fly box. With some Goture Kebari in there. So there are, let's see, 3, 6, 8 flies. And they're all Goture Kebari. These two are black bodied. These two are orange bodied with orange hackle. That's interesting. Never fished a fully orange fly before. These two have like a chartreuse soft hackle, black body. These two have that's like a natural, kind of a natural brown color hackle, and then a white body. And it weighs nothing. It's just like the thinnest plastic and the lightest, probably the cheapest foam. But, kind of cool. Is there anything else? I can't really get my arm in here any deeper. So I think, yeah, that's it. Well, let me get this all set up. I'm gonna fish with this whole setup. So the rod, the line, the tippet, the flies, I'm gonna use all of that stuff that came with this kit. See what it's like. All right, got my gear ready to go. One thing I didn't realize is that, I don't know if you can really see this in the GoPro very well, but at the end of each section, there's like a 1-inch little black band to complement the green. Very Tenkara rod company styling. So this is a stream that I've fished several times before. It's got little brook trout and little rainbow trout in it. I'm going to hike downstream a little bit and then work my way back to the car here. And I have fished this section before, and I like coming here because I know I can catch fish here. So it's a good place to try out new rods. I know I can probably catch a good number of fish in an hour or two. I said before that one of the reasons I don't fish furled lines is that they are a pain when they get caught in trees, because they can get like just kinks in them and they just get messed up. If they get caught in a tree, then you pull it out. But here, there are no trees, so that won't be an issue. Okay, this looks like as good a place as any to start. I've got the black and white Kebari tied on here. Oh, I think that was a fish on the very first cast. The rod casts okay. It's not amazing. I've fished worse rods, and it does feel stiff and it does feel heavy. Like a lot of these cheaper rods, they work, you can catch fish with them, but they're not great Tenkara rods. I've got probably 20 something Tenkara rods at this point, and this is definitely not one of the first, I don't know, 10 or 15 that I would reach for. Fish on. It's a rainbow trout. I could really feel the stiffness of the rod as I was fighting that fish. Well, the fly worked. A nice rainbow trout. 8 inches maybe. Nice. Yeah, initial impression of hooking into and landing my first fish is that I mean, it's it's a stiff rod, and so when you're fighting a fish, you can just kind of haul it in. There's not much of a fight, which I guess could be good or bad depending on what you're fishing for or how big the fish are. It's kind of hard to tell when I have a fish on here because it's windy right now, and so the line is kind of dancing all around. Makes it harder to keep an eye on the end of that line, monitor it for suspicious fish activity. There's another rod called the Max Catch Tenkara Mini that is pretty similar to this one. I didn't really like that rod, and I don't really like this rod. This one might be a little bit better, I don't know. It's been a while since I fished that one, but I just remember really not liking that one. And even though that one said that it was 6'4", it was a stiff rod. This one admits that it's 7'3", and yeah, it's just not fun to cast. Like when you have a really stiff rod like this that isn't balanced especially well, it's just not fun to cast. This rod also comes in a carbon fiber handled version, which I thought was interesting. I opted for this one because it was a little bit lighter. The carbon fiber was heavier than the cork, but I'm guessing they fish pretty similarly. Oh, I forgot to mash the barb on this fly. All of these flies are barbed, and this fly is already unraveling after one fish. That's not great. Okay, barb has been mashed. Yeah, the more I cast with this rod, the less I like it. Fishing is a little bit slower here today than it has been on my previous visits. Been fishing for 17 minutes. Come on. 2 fish in 17 minutes. That's not too bad. 1 fish in 17 minutes isn't great. 2 fish in 17 minutes, that's okay. It's another rainbow trout. Got a nice little foamy eddy over here. Oh! No! Fish! Trapped in the bush. There you go, buddy. Sorry. It's another rainbow trout. Fish number 3. Six or 7 inches. I'm gonna switch to a different line. I don't enjoy fishing with this furled line. I'm gonna switch to one of my level lines. The furled line is, it's getting a little bit waterlogged, a little bit heavier because of that, and so it's dragging, it's sagging back toward me when I've casted it out. That line sag does happen more with furled lines versus level lines, just because they do way more. But let me know what furled lines you guys like. I've only fished like these super cheap ones. I've never fished like a good one. So tell me what a good one is so I can get that and try it and fish it. This fly is just completely mangled. I mean, I'm gonna take a picture of this and show it to you guys so you can see how how bad this fly looks. It was in pretty rough shape after 1 fly. After 3, it's just a loose collection of thread barely hanging on to the hook. But yeah, let me switch over to one of my level lines and see if that makes me like the rod any better. All right, got my new line on here. This is a size 3.5, 12-foot long level line. I don't know if most people would find this easier to cast, but I certainly find this more enjoyable to cast. That might just be because I'm used to it. I don't know, but I definitely like it better. Still, I mean, the rod still isn't great, but it is a little bit better now. I'm getting better casts with the level line. Fish on. And off. That's a bummer. Got one. Ooh, oh, darn it. I was gonna say, that's a decent fish. That's one of the bigger ones I've caught in this stream. Wasn't meant to be. Got one. It's bigger. It's a brook trout. Yes. Nice. Healthy fish. Sorry the sun is like right in your face as you're watching this. It's not ideal, but we'll be around the corner soon enough. Got one. Nice. That's the biggest fish yet. That guy is chunky. That is a nice brook trout. 10 inches maybe? Nice. Very, very nice. Fish on. Thought that looked like a really good spot. And we're back to rainbow trout after a couple brook trout. Whoa. Those ducks freaked me out. Fish on. Couldn't really see anything over there, but I guessed there might be fish there. Rainbow trout. So my overall thoughts on this rod, first of all, it's so much better with the level line. Before it was bad, and now it's graduated to okay. It's kind of a weird thing that happens when I cast this rod, and I don't know why it's like that, but it's not smooth. It feels jerky. I think that might be just because of the weight of the rod, or rather where the weight is placed, like how the rod is balanced. It just feels like I bring it back and I cast forward and it feels jerky. It doesn't feel smooth. If you're gonna get into Tenkara, I would suggest getting something like the Dragon Tail Shadowfire 365. That's a $99 rod. Yeah, it's more expensive than this, but it's a much better rod. And if you find out that Tenkara isn't for you, it'll hold its value better. You'll be able to sell it and get some of your money back. And like I said earlier, you can certainly catch fish with this rod. You can catch fish with any of the cheap, like under $100 Tenkara rods that are out there. Catching fish isn't the issue. It's how the rod feels. And for people who haven't fished nicer rods, oh, hello fish, that can be hard to understand. Or you might be skeptical. It's like, how much better can this $150 or $200 rod be than this $60 or $75 rod? And the answer is quite a bit. Little rainbow trout. They're not just all made in the same factory with a different label put on them. Like, they really do feel different. I think clumsy is a good way to describe this rod for me. I mean, your mileage may vary. Maybe you'll think it's a great rod, but to be honest, I don't think there are any circumstances under which I would buy this rod with my own money. I mean, I guess if you were on a tight budget, if you were on like a under $70 budget, and you wanted a rod that was short when collapsed, because this one is shorter than most Tenkara rods when collapsed, then, you know, your options are a little bit limited, and you wanted that rod to be this long, to be a 12-foot long rod, then yeah, I guess I would get it then. But if you're willing to spend more, there are definitely better rods out there. And as far as all the accessories, I mean, those were not great. The fly disintegrated pretty quick. The line I didn't like. I mean, the nippers are fine. I've got them on my vest right now, but I mean, if you're buying this kit, you're buying it for the rod, really. In general, the accessories are not good, I would say. They are low quality. Got one. Come on. get out of the fast water. I guess it's all fast water. There we go. I think this will be the last fish. This is fish number 11, I think. On a scale that's from bad to okay to good to great, this rod, when I first started fishing it with that furled line, was bad. I did not like it. I switched to a level line and it was okay. It wasn't bad, it was fine, which means that it also wasn't good. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Thanks for watching. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you have any questions. Thanks again to Goture for sending this rod to me. Sorry I didn't like it more, but that's how it goes. And I'll see you guys in the next one.